Well, welcome aboard. I've been working on a few things here this week. Didn't get a video out because of the holidays. So welcome back. I want to go over, first of all, the foam cutter. What I've done here, I've redone this cutter that cuts the notch in the wood, or notch in the foam wings. It's a double wire and it cuts the groove for the spar. Well, let's say you're going to use a landing gear clip. So I came up with this right here. I'll get a close up here in a minute, but basically this little cutter here attaches to the bench and it works in conjunction with this sled. So let me move the camera around a little bit and I'll go over this cutter here. So the way this works, this cutter actually attaches to the side of the bench. You can see that right here. I drilled 2 holes and that allows me to actually attach this to the bench. I attached this cutter. It's got indexing piece of wood here, so this automatically sets the height right here. And of course, where it bolts onto the bench, that determines, exactly where it sits. So what I've done here, sort of hard to explain. I don't know if I can get a decent video of these wires, but the way this works, each wire is independently adjustable. So this wire is separate from this wire, the top. These are wheel collars. They're 5/16. And instead of using the set screw on wheel collars, I just use like panhead screws. See if I can get a close up of that. So what this allows me to do, by rotating these wheel collars independently of each other, it allows me to open and close the gap of this nichrome wire. It also allows me to adjust the tension independently. So what I do is I start out with the wire that's the longest, which would be the top one here. So it goes from the top one here to the bottom one here, or it should, the way I have it. But anyway, I've got them independent. So as I put in one wire and clamp these 2 music wires together, these are what gives the tension. I adjust the tension by how far I space these wheel collars out. I can't really describe the tension, but I guess you could hear it. So sounds like a guitar string. And what you try to do, you try to get the equal tension between both wires. Will you get it perfect? Probably not, but you can get it close. And with this cutter, it doesn't seem to be super critical. Let me get these bolts started. It's a 1/4 20. I just use these knobs here to attach it, like this. And I'll scoot to the other side here. This knob goes over here. And that's all there is to it. It just mounts securely to the side of the bench. Okay, so once you get this mounted, as you can see, it sort of hangs out from the bench a little bit. So this curves out a little bit. So I don't know, I probably have an inch of play between the bow and the bench. This sled is based on 3/4 inch plywood. Underneath this there's a pair of drawer slides. I think they're 18 inches. There's a pair of drawer slides here and here, and that's what provides the motion on the sled. This sled is sitting on the bench, so it's not attached. It just lays on the bench. And I move it up, I don't know, probably about to the edge. And then I'll double check to make sure, you know, that I got the right spacing here. You don't want this top sled hitting the wires, of course. So, another close-up of the wheel collars. And the wheel collars allow independent adjustment. The way this wire's bent here, you'll see the arc here where it's tensioning the bow. This little joggle right here, I put that in there in order to get these wheel collars on there. I take a C-clamp and I clamp this bow together to hold them in place while I put these wheel collars on. This nichrome wire, I can't remember the gauge, but I'll look it up before I turn the video off, but it's nichrome. So it'll cut a pretty good slot. Now this thing is set up to where it's just to cut sport wings. And I got a bunch of them stacked up here. I got some I need to sheet, some of them I need to put in storage. So let's get the variac hooked up to this thing. I'm going to cut 2 slots, well really 3, one on a test block, and then I'm going to cut a couple more slots for the foam wings that I got cut out. So let's mount this thing on the drawer box here. I got to move this camera around a little bit. So the variac I have sitting down here. I just use old trusty here. I did a short video a while back. I think it was on Instagram or something. It was dealing with this cutter. On top of the cutter I marked 4 volts, so it gives me a reminder that this thing operates off of 4 volts. And sort of like the wing cutter, I like to cut slow. Get all my wires out of the way. So that's how easy it is to set this thing up. The beauty of it is it's mobile. I just take this thing and move it off the bench, and then I just unscrew this with 2 knobs. So I like to grab some scrap. Always good to keep some of these scrap blocks around. So to line this thing up, basically what has to happen is, you know where your entry point is, obviously, because it's where the wires are running. What isn't so obvious yet is where it's going to exit, but it won't exit. But I'll show you what I'm talking about. Back here, let's just say this cutter was going in a straight line, you're going to see a line right here. I think you can see it right here. I've marked the line right here, an ink line. So what I've done from this groove right here, I extended the same path. So basically this line right here runs parallel to the hinge, or the not the hinge, but the drawer slides. So the drawer slides and this line are all on the same line. And what that allows you to do when you set your foam core up here, you know the starting point, and then you know where the ending point would be theoretically, even though you're not going all the way to that point. What you do when you have a triple chord wing, it's easy to line it up here because you can see where it's supposed to start. What you do on the opposing side, you're going to mark where the triple core is right here. Because once you get this thing cored out, you want the spar to go right down the center of that foam spar. You don't want it going off to the side. So what I do is I trace the template to the core here, and it shows me where the spar's at. On the opposing side, I trace it to the wing here. So the back side, I line up and center it over the line that's here. So that way the spar goes right down the foam spar. Hopefully that makes sense, and I'll show you here in a second. Let me go over here and get my wing. And this spar is cut in the cradles. This is the foam wing we're going to be knocking the spar out of, spar slot. And of course start at the root. And I don't know, I'll probably go not too deep, but I'll probably cut this spar, I don't know, 8 inches or so, 6 or 8. So let's see if we get this thing dialed in. Got a rainy day out there today, so I left my lawnmower inside, so it's a little cramped on room. So, a quick demo here. These, see if I can round up my templates. Let's see if I can find them. I'll show you what I'm talking about marking the wing. So, let's just pretend this is the core. Okay, so here's the root template, the core. So let's just pretend that this is where I want my spar. I'll just trace a little line like that. And then I'll come back here at the tip and I'll place this template here on the tip of the foam, and I'll position this where the foam spar is going to be, and I'll trace it right here. So I'm going to line the root up here. Obviously it's not straight because I just did the demo. It's not that important at this point for the demo. So anyway, right here is where the wire starts, and I'll adjust where the wire needs to go, the tracking, by moving the core this way and this way. So it's lined up here, and I'll line it up back here. And let's just say I want oh, I don't know, let's go through here and see what looks about right. Let's make a spar 8 inches. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to cut a spar 8 inches or 9. But then I'm going to take a little bit of carbon tow, maybe 3K, 5K, I don't know yet. And I'll lay it over the top of the spar and extend it out when I vacuum bag the wings down. So I got it lined up here, I got it lined up at the tip, and I've got my stopping point. This is just scrap right here, so I turn this on. Let's see how we're doing. Right now, it looks like 4 volts is cutting fine. As you can see, it's not a fast process. It's a pretty heavy gauge nichrome wire. It takes a little bit more heat to get this going. And basically, you're just feeding it by looking at the feel of it. The trick is to get this thing cut at the right width. Obviously, you got to adjust the speed of it here. But by using this practice block, it'll give you a good look at the speed and the feed. But the trick is also to get the right width of the slot. You get it too wide, and then you have to build up the wood. You get it too narrow, then you got to sand it. So I like the wire to bottom out. Let me put the comments on here. Let's see here. Doc. Chat. I'll get the chat going, and I'll see if I've got anybody. Let's see here. So anyway, it looks like I'm still on. So what I'm shooting for here, if I'm still streaming, what I'm shooting for is an 1/8 inch wide gap. So some of the light plywood I used to use was more in line with the 3/32. So I think I got the width dialed in. So I think that's good. I'm not sure if this thing's going through or not. Let me double check here. Yeah, okay. I think we're still going. I'm not sure if the camera's working though.